So I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one in this room who at some point have found myself, looking up towards the stars and wondered, are we it? Or are there other living planets out there, such as our own? I guess it is possible that I'm then the only person who has obsessed enough about that question to make it my career. But moving on. So how do we get to this question? Well, I would argue the first thing to do is to turn our eyes back down from the sky to our own planet, the Earth. And think about just how lucky did the Earth have to be the living planet it is. Well, it had to be at least somewhat lucky. Had we been sitting closer to the sun or a bit further away, any water that we have had would have boiled off or frozen over. And it's not a given that the planet has water on it. So had we been a dry planet, there would not have been a lot of life on it. And even if we had had all the water that we have today, if that water had not been accompanied by the right kind of chemicals to get life going, we would have been a wet planet, but just as dead. So with so many things that can go wrong, what are the chances that they go right? What are the chances that the planet forms with at least the basic ingredients needed to have an origins of life happening? Well, let's explore that together. So if you're going to have a living planet, the first thing you're going to need is a planet. But not any planet will do. You're probably going to need a rather specific and Earth-like planet, a planet that is rocky, so you can have both oceans and land, and that's sitting neither too close nor too far away from its star, but at the just right temperature. And it's just right for liquid water, that is. So how many of these planets do we have in our galaxy? Well, one of the great discoveries of the past decades is that planets are incredibly common. Almost every star has a planet around them. Some have many. And among these planets, on the order of a few percent are Earth-like enough that we would consider them potentially living planets. So having the right kind of planet is actually not that difficult when we consider that there's about 100 billion stars in our galaxy. So that gives you about 1 billion potential living planets. But it's not enough to just be at the right temperature or have the right overall composition. You also need the right chemicals. And what the second and important ingredient to make a living planet is, I think is pretty intuitive, it's water. After all, we did define our planet as being potentially living if it had the right temperature to keep water liquid. And here on Earth, life is water-based, but more generally, water is just really good as a meeting place for chemicals. It is a very special liquid. So this is our second ingredient, our second basic ingredient. Now, the third ingredient, I think, is probably a little bit more surprising. We are going to need some organics in there, right, since we are thinking about organic life. But the organic molecule that seems to be at the center of the chemical networks that can produce biomolecules is hydrogen cyanide. So for those of you who know what this molecule is like, it's something that's a good idea to stay away from. But it turns out that what's really, really bad for advanced life forms, such as yourselves, is really, really good to get the chemistry started, the right kind of chemistry that can lead to origins of life. So now we have our